Hi, now we're going to talk about coordination inside our body related to hormones. So, hormone is not an enzyme, it has another mechanism how it works. Let's see one of the system related to hormone, which is endocrine system. And then we're going to look at different types of hormone, amines, polypeptide, and steroid. Last but not least, how the hormone act. There are two pathways. The first one is gene activation. The second one is second messenger CAMP. What is endocrine? Basically, endocrine is a system. It's how the communication that happen inside your body related to hormone. So hormone is basically the messenger. It's going to tell the body what to do, when to do it. So hormone is basically a ductless gland. Ductless means saluran. So ductless means it doesn't have its own duct. So what happens is it's going to be secreted in the bloodstream. Basically, it's going to share the same pathway as the bloodstream. So it doesn't has its own duct. So it's a ductless gland. And then it's going to travel inside the bloodstream to bind to receptor and located on target cell such as muscle. It could be motor neuron. It could be any types of cell, and the cell will respond once the hormone bind to the receptor. So this is a diagram to show in general what's happened. So imagine this is the endocrine cells or tissue that going to produce the hormone. This is the hormone. The hormone, since is a ductless, it doesn't has its own duct. It's going to use bloodstream to travel. So the hormone going to transported into the bloodstream with all the blood plasma, the red blood cell, white blood cell, to the target cell. For example, if it's need to go to skeletal muscle, it's going to bind to the receptor on the skeletal muscle before any action will takes place. So this means that the action is very specific. Hormone does not go anywhere randomly. It always go directly to the cell that has receptor on the cell. So that's how it works. If you can see here, all the hormone will bind to the receptor. Once it arrives, it's going to produce a few steps in the action that we're going to see later. Next, let's look at three types of hormone. There are three groups. The first one is amine. Amine is basically synthesized from amino acid. So it has a characteristic of both hydrophilic and hydrophobic. Do you remember what is hydrophilic? Basically, it's love water. Hydrophobic, hate water. Means one is be able to interact with water, and another one they cannot interact with water. Example given is thyroxine, is a type of hormone. Can be used for some function, for example, digestion. The second one is polypeptide. Polypeptide, it has one characteristic. It interact with water, which is hydrophilic. Example that we already known before from regulation of glucose. The famous one is insulin. Last but not least, steroid. Steroid is under lipid family, so of course it's going to be hydrophobic. It hate water, does not interact with water. Example is cortisol. Cortisol is basically a hormone secreted probably when you are under stress, and also some other processes in your body need cortisol. Now we're going to look at how this hormone act. What are the steps? So the first one is gene activation, and then the second one is second messenger CAMP. This is the first one, this is the second one. So we're going to go straight to the diagram. Alright, so gene activation only involve steroid hormone. Remember, only steroid hormone be able to do gene activation. Why? We're going to have the explanation later on. Alright, steroid hormone are lipid soluble because from what we known before, steroid is hydrophobic. So hydrophobic, it doesn't interact with water. It hates water. It hates water. So what happened is, since the steroid hormone is hydrophobic, it's going to be able to diffuse through the plasma membrane. This is the plasma membrane of the cell. If you can recall back in semester 1, plasma membrane has two sides, phospholipid bilayer. So the tail is very hydrophobic. Since the large area is very hydrophobic, it's going to allow steroid hormone to pass through easily. So it can easily diffuse through the plasma membrane of the target cell. If it's need to go to the muscle cell, it's going to target muscle cell. If it's need to go to the heart cell, it's going to go to heart cell. Heart cell is basically cardiac muscle. If it's need to go to skin cell, it's going to target the skin cell, epidermis. And then once it enter, it's going to go straight to cytoplasm, which is inside the cell. So this is what happened. It's already inside the cytoplasm. The steroid hormone is in green color, if you can see over here. So now, what happened after it's entered the cytoplasm? The hormone, the steroid hormone, will bind with the receptor. This is a very special case. The receptor usually on the outside of the cell. But for certain cell, the receptor is inside the cell. It is in the cytoplasm. So, once the steroid already inside the cytoplasm, then only it can bind to the receptor in the cytoplasm. So, the blue one is the receptor that already located in the cytoplasm. So, this hormone will bind to the receptor in the cytoplasm. Once it's bind, we're going to call it hormone receptor complex after it's already combined together. So next, so once it's already becoming hormone receptor complex, it's going to move again. It's going to pass again through the nucleus, through a nuclear pore. So if you can see here, if you can see here, this is the nuclear pore. Okay, the space, the gap is like the door. So hormone receptor complex be able to enter the nucleus, the purple is the nucleus, through a nuclear pore. And then now it's already in the nucleus. See, this is the hormone receptor complex already inside the nucleus. In the nucleus, the hormone receptor complex be able to bind to DNA. So this is very familiar with you. This is a molecule of double helix DNA. So the hormone receptor complex be able to bind to the DNA. So what's next? We can recall back our semester 1, the DNA replication and protein synthesis. So what happened is it stimulates transcription. Remember, transcription is we copy the recipe book. So we copy the DNA and form mRNA. So after transcription takes place, this is the product. mRNA is produced. mRNA will diffuse out, will move out from the nucleus into the cytoplasm. So what's next? So we've got a ribosome over here. We got protein. Can you guess what is the process? Yes, it is translation process. When the mRNA is translated to form protein. So this is what happened. So the protein could be any enzyme or any protein molecule needed by the cell. So this is what happened, how the steroid hormone do gene activation. The other two hormones, amides and polypeptide, cannot do gene activation because they cannot pass through the plasma membrane. Only hormone that can pass through the plasma membrane directly can undergo gene activation.